So, good day everyone. The topic that assigned to us are changing the Middle East. So, me and my group mates are going to discuss this topic, and we are going to share some ideas and insight about this topic. So, my name is Kate Veronica Rongap. So, the topic that assigned to me is all about changing the Middle East, challenges and opportunities. So, the Middle East is undergoing a profound transformation. We'll explore the challenges and opportunities of the dynamic region. So, the Middle East is undergoing transformation marked by shifting geopolitical alliances, economic diversification, and social change. So, example na lamang dito is sa Saudi Arabia. So, ang Saudi Arabia is nag-invest ng mga sektor na hindi nakasalalay sa langis at unti-unting nagpapalawak ng mga reformang panlipunan. Patuloy pa rin ang tensyon sa mga issue tulad na lamang ng sekta, kalayaan sa politika at mga sigalot sa rehiyon. Arab state is also reshaping alliances, while Iran remains a powerful influence in regional political and environmental challenges. So, particularly, water scarcity and climate change are adding new complexities. The region's future hinges on navigating these challenges. So, while balancing the modernization with deeply rooted cultural and religious identities. So, in historical context, so the evolution of the Middle East. So, the first one is Asian civilization. So, the Middle East is the cradle of civilization, home to empires like Mesopotamia, Persia, and Ottoman Empire. So, the Middle East is often referred to as the cradle of civilization. So, it is because it was the birthplace of some of the world's earliest and most influential empires and culture. So, katulad na lamang dito is sa Mesopotamia. So, dito yung sa Mesopotamia, dito unang umusbong ang mga sinaunang lungsod at sistema ng pagsusulat. So, gaya na lamang ng cuneiform. So, sa Persia naman, ito ay isang malaking imperyo na may malawak na impluwensya sa kultura at politika sa rehiyon. At sa Ottoman Empire naman, nagtagal ito ng mahigit 600 na taon at naging makapangyarihan sa maraming bahagi ng gitnaang silangan sa Europa. Subalit sa modern transformation naman, so the region landscape has been shaped by colonial influence, oil wealth, and the Arab Spring, leading to the complex realities. So, sinabi dito na complex realities kasi so in modern world, so sa gitna ng silangan ay nagbago dahil sa mga sumusunod. So, isa na dito yung kolonyalismo. So, noong panahon ng mga Europe, hinati at pinamahalaan yung rehiyon. So, kaya nagkaroon ng mga hidwaan at problema sa politika at kultura. So, sunod naman ay yaman sa langis, 'di ba? So, ang pagtuklas ng langis ay nagbibigay ng yaman sa mga bansa sa rehiyon. Pero nagdudulot din ito ng pagkaiba-iba sa ekonomiya at tensyon ng politika. So, ikatlo naman ay ang Arab Spring. So, noong 2010 to 2011, nagkaroon ng mga pag-aalsa ang mga tao sa ilang bansa upang humiling ng mga pagbabago. So, ngunit sa karamihan ng mga bansa ay bumalik sa mga leader na may mahigpit na kapangyarihan. So, sa kabuuan, ang Middle East po ay patuloy na binabago ang mga pangyayaring ito at ang mga epekto nito ay nararamdaman hanggang ngayon. So, the next one po is domestic conflict, causes and consequences. So, in political instability, internal conflicts arise from a mix of factors. So, including ethnic tension, political corruption, and economic inequality. So, the political instability in the Middle East from a mix of authoritarian governance, sectarian tension, foreign intervention, and economic challenges. So, the region has been affected by the Arab Spring. So, yung civil wars po. So, example po dito is yung bansang Syria, Yemen, and Libya. So, the rise of extremist groups like ISIS. So, external powers, notably the US, Iran, and Saudi Arabia. So, have fueled regional rivalries and proxy conflicts, economic difficulties, and unemployment, and climate change. So, while the Israel and Palestinian conflicts remain a long-standing issue. So, the region's future instability depends on addressing these complex and interconnected factors. So, the next po is about humanitarian crisis. So, the conflicts often lead to displacement, refugee crisis, and humanitarian challenges. So, impacting lives and economies. So, the Middle East faces severe humanitarian crisis driven by an ongoing conflicts. So, the political instability and economic collapse. Major crises include the Syrian civil war, the Yemen conflict, and the Iraq long-term instability. So, displacing millions and causing widespread loss of life and suffering. Lebanon economic collapse and Israeli-Palestinian conflict. So, particularly in Gaza, have also resulted in extreme poverty and a lack of essential services. So, the region has one of the world's largest refugee population with millions in overcrowded camps facing poor living conditions. So, yung mga crisis na po yan ay interconnected and international aid. So, along with the long-term peace effort and essential to addressing the humanitarian challenges. External intervention, the role of global powers. So, in the U.S. influence. So, the U.S. has a long story of involvement in the Middle East, shaping the region, politics, and economy. So, dahil nga sa impluwensya ng U.S., yung Middle East po is nakakaapekto na sa politika at ekonomiya ng rehiyon. So, sa pamamagitan ng mga interbensyong militar at alyansa at sa tulong na rin ng pang-ekonomiya. So, mahalaga ang US sa kanilang pakikipagrelasyon. So, napaka-importante sa mga bansang tulad na lamang ng Israel, Saudi Arabia, and Abu Dhabi. So, at ang malaking bahagi, sila ay ang mga kaguluhan sa rehiyon tulad ng digmaang Iraq at digmaang sibil sa Syria. So, next po is Russia present. So, Russia has increased its presence in the Middle East through military intervention and diplomatic effort. So, dahil nga sa pagpapalakas ng Russia, yung mga militar at diplomatikong hakbang ay pinalakas ng Russia sa presensya nito ng Middle East. So, halimbawa na lamang dito is tinulungan nila ang mga religion na Bashar al-Assad sa Syria. So, sa pamamagitan ng mga airstrike at Persang pandigma, pinalakas din nila ang mga ugnayan sa Iran at Turkey at sinusubukang makipagsabayan sa kapangyarihan ng mga ekonomiya sa US. So, the next one is China rise. So, China has expanded its economic and political influence in the Middle East through infrastructure, project, and energy investment. So, dahil nga sa pagpapalakas ng impluwensya ng Chinese sa Middle East, sa pamamagitan na rin ng pagbuo nila ng mga project or proyekto ng mga infrastructure, when it comes to energy, and many more po, na kung saan po sila is nag-invest sila ng mga proyekto tulad na lamang ng mga daungan at redes, mahalaga rin sa kanilang kalakalan sa langis at rehiyon. Kaya lumalapit ang ugnayan nila sa mga bansa ng Middle East. So, in socio-economic transformation, bridging the divide. So, number 1 is economic diversification. So, the Middle East is shifting away from oil dependence towards other industries such as technology and tourism. So, in diverse po in economic, dahil na rin naman sa pagbabago ng ating daigdig, maraming bansa sa gitna ng silangan ang nagsusumikap na bawasan ang kanilang pag-asa sa langis bilang pangunahing pinagkukunan ng kita. So, habang ang langis ay patuloy na isang napakahalagang bahagi ng kanilang ekonomiya, so nagsimula namang namuhunan ang ibang sektor o ang ibang bansa sa pamamagitan ng teknolohiya. Upang mas madaming maakit na turismo, gumawa sila ng mga project, ng mga magagandang building. So, ganun. So, the next one po is social development. So, investment in education, healthcare, and infrastructure are crucial for building a more prosperous and inclusive society. So, dahil na nga sa pag-unlad ng lipunan, so hindi lamang yung ekonomiya yung nabibigyang pansin. So, mahalaga rin na ang pagpapabuti ng kalagayan ng mga tao sa rehiyon. So, kaya naman ang Middle East ay nagsagawa ng isang malaking pamumuhunan sa mga serbisyong panlipunan tulad na lamang ng edukasyon, kalusugan at infrastruktura. So, sa pamamagitan nito, mas nabibigyan nilang katarungan at mas magiging success yung bansa. So, kasabay din ng pagbabago ng Middle East ay ang women's empowerment driving change from within. So, number 1 is education and employment. So, empowering women through education and economic opportunities is to key fostering gender equality and social progress. So, dahil nga naisa doon na dapat ay equal, parehas ng may karapatan ang babae at lalaki, so, ang mga gobyerno ay gumawa ng paaralan para sa kababaihan at kalalakihan. So, ang pumapayag na rin sila na ang babae ay magtrabaho. So, sa pamamagitan nito is mas nagkakaroon ng mas healthy na sa kanilang bansa. So, number 2 is political participation. So, the greater participation of women in politics and decision making is essential for a more representative and inclusive society. So, sa ngayon, yung mga kababaihan ay nakikiwilahok na rin sa partisipasyon pagdating sa politika. So, mahalaga ito upang makagawa sila ng mga desisyon na kumakatawan sa lahat at magdala ng mas makatarungan at inklusibong lipunan. So, regional cooperation and fostering stability and progress. So, dito makikita nyo naman na sa image is pa-triangle siya, diba? Tatsulok. So, yan yung mga, una muna is 1, and 2, and 3. So, yan, yung tatlong yan is napakahalaga sa bansa, sa Middle East changes. So, kasi yung tatlong yan is nagpapakita na lamang na kung gaano ba kalaki ang pinagbago ng Middle East noon at sa ngayon. So, number 1 is share challenges. So, the regional cooperation is crucial to address common challenges such as terrorism, climate change, and economic instability. Number 2 is trade and investment. So, strengthening regional trade and investment foster economic growth and creates opportunities for all countries. So, number 3 is cultural exchange. So, promoting cultural understanding and dialogue between nations can help bridge divides and foster peace.
So, good day everyone. I'm Sarandine Mary Jane, BSE 3E. So, this is the continuation po. So, first, the path forward is strategies for a brighter future. First is political reform. Strengthening democratic institutions and promoting good governance are crucial for sustainable peace and development. So, political reform involves improving the political system to make it more transparent, accountable, and inclusive. Strengthening democratic institutions ensure fair elections and protection of human rights and equal participation for all citizens. Promoting good governance means ensuring that leaders act in the best interest of people, are transparent in their action, and use resources responsibly. These measures are key to achieving long-term peace and development in any country. The second one is the economic development. So, creating job opportunities and investing in infrastructure are essential for improving living standard and reducing poverty. So, economic development involves creating job opportunities and investing in the infrastructure to stimulate growth. By generating employment, people can earn or income, support their families, and contribute to the community or economy. Infrastructure movement such as transportation, healthcare, and education enhance accessibility and quality of life, making it easier for people to work and thrive. Together, this effort reduce poverty and elevate living standard by providing the resources and opportunities needed for individual to prosper. Last is the social inclusion. Promoting tolerance and understanding between different communities is key to building a more harmonious and just society. So, social inclusion means fostering tolerance and understanding among different communities. So, ensuring everyone has equal opportunities and is treated with respect. This creates a more harmonious and just society. Next is nationalist movement and the Middle East. So, the Middle East has been a melting pot of cultures and ideas for centuries. However, the region has also been a battleground for various forms of nationalism and struggle for self-determination. This presentation examines key factors driving the rise of the evolution of nationalism in the Middle East. So, nationalist movement in the Middle East have been driven by the region's diverse cultures, colonial legacies, and the quest for the self-rule. So, the collapse of the Ottoman Empire and the foreign influence sparked a desire for independence, giving rise of the various national identities, and the struggle from the Arab of Kurdish nationalism shaped the region political landscape. Next is the historical context or colonialism and resistance. So, European colonialism had a profound impact on the Middle East, creating artificial borders and flowing nationalist movement. Colonial power often exploited local resources and surprised local cultures. So, European colonialism in the Middle East has shaped modern borders and fluid nationalist movement by imposing artificial division. So, colonial powers exploited the region's resources while surprising indigenous cultures, leading to the long-lasting tension and resistance effort as local populations sought independence and the self-determination. So, this movement ranged from the peaceful protest to aimed resistance, often drawing inspiration from the ideologies like Arabism and Pan-Islamism. So they sought to achieve independence and establish own national identities. Next is the rise of Arab nationalism. First is the post-colonial era. So, following World War II, a wave of decolonization swept across the Middle East, leading to the formation of independent Arab state. So, the rise of Arab nationalism as the post-colonial era emerged after World War II as a colonial power withdrew from the Middle East. So, newly independent Arab states sought for the unify against foreign influence, foster regional solidarity, and the assert cultural and political identity, paving the way of the modern Arab world. So, the second one is the Pan-Arabism. So, Pan-Arabism, advocating for unity among the Arab nation, gained momentum, seeking to counter Western influence and the foster economic and the political cooperation. So Pan-Arabism emerged as the movement aimed to unite Arab nations, counter Western dominance, and promote regional solidarity through shared cultural, political, and economic collaboration. The third one is the nationalism legacy. So Arab nationalism left a lasting impact on the region, inspiring political and the social emerge, but also contributing to conflicts and tension. So, ang pamana ng Arab nationalism is nagdulot ng malalim na epekto sa relihiyon. And nagbigay ito ng inspiration para sa mga pagbabago sa political and lipunan. Ngunit, nag-ambag din ito ng mga tension and alitan sa kanila. Next is the Iranian Revolution and the spread of Islamist ideology. So the first is the 1979 Iranian Revolution, led by Ayatollah Khomeini, overthrew the Shah regime that established an Islamic Republic. So the 1979 Iranian Revolution, led by the Ayatollah Khomeini, overthrew a Shah monarchy and replaced it with an Islamic Republic, marked a shift from the Western-backed secular regime to the government based on the Islamic principles. So the second is the revolution sparked a wave of Islamist movement across the Middle East, challenging secular and socialist ideologies and promoting Islamic values. So, the Iranian Revolution spread Islamist movement throughout the Middle East, challenging secular and socialist ideologies by advocating for governance rooted in Islamic values and principles. So, the third is this movement often advocated for return to Islamic principles in the governance and the society, challenging existing political structures and the social norms. So, this movement called for the return of Islamic principles in the both governance and daily life, directly challenging the prevailing political system and societal norms. Next is the Ba'athist regimes in Syria and Iraq. So the first is secular socialism. So the Ba'athist party advocating for Arab unity and socialist principle came to the power of Syria and Iraq in the 1960s and the 1970s. So the Ba'athism regimes in the Syria and Iraq were using the power in the 1960s and 1970s, promoted secular socialism, emphasizing Arab unity and the socialist principles. So the party sought to modernize their countries through state-led economic policies while also suppressing political opposition and maintaining tight control over society. The second one is the authoritarian rule. So Ba'athist regimes were characterized by authoritarian rule, suppressing dissent and centralizing power, often resulting to violence to maintain control. The last is regional ambition. So both regimes pursued regional ambition, so seeking to expand their influence and challenges the existing power of dynamic in the Middle East. So both Baptist regimes sought to increase their influence in the Middle East, aim to disrupt existing power structure. Next slide is the Iran-Iraq and its aftermath. So the first is the war. So Iran-Iraq War 1980s to 1988 was a devastating conflict fueled by the ideological difference and territorial disputes. So the Iran-Iraq War was in 1980 to 1988 was a brutal conflict between Iran and Iraq. So primarily driven by the territorial disputes over the Shah al-Arab waterway and ideological differences following Iran 1970s Islamic Revolution. So Iraq, led by the Saddam Hussein, aimed to exploit Iran's post-revolutionary instability, but the war ended in a stalemate with heavy consultations on the both sides and no significant territorial changes. So the second one is the aftermath. So the war had a profound impact on the region, weakening both countries and leaving a legacy of political instability and social unrest. So the aftermath of the Iran and Iraq war left both nations severely weakened, so with extensive casualties and economic destructions. It sparked long-lasting political instability, fluid sectarian and tension, and shaped future regional conflicts, particularly in Iraq on 2003 invasion of Kuwait and Iran rise as a regional power. The last is the consequences. So the war also shaped the geopolitical landscape of the Middle East, contribution to the rise of the sectarianism and the spread of extremist ideologies. So the war of consequences reshaped the Middle East, fostering sectarianism and providing a breeding ground for the extremist ideologies. It also influenced regional power dynamics, with the Iran emerged stronger while Iraq became more isolated and vulnerable to external conflicts. So last is the Gulf War and the weakening of the Arab strongmen. So the first is invasion of the Kuwait. In 1990, Iraq invaded Kuwait, triggering a US-led military intervention known as a Gulf War. Second is the international intervention. So the war resulted in the liberation of the Kuwait but also exposed the vulnerabilities of the Arab regimes in the influence of external powers. The last is the shifting power dynamics. So the Gulf War marked a turning points in the Middle East, weakening Arab strongmen and paving the way for new challenges and opportunities. So that's all my part po. Next discussant na po is si Miss Arnan po. That's all. Thank you.
Good day everyone, I'm Maria Vanessa Ornan from BSE 3E. So the topic that I will discuss is about Arab Spring and the resurgence of nationalism. So the first one is uprising. So the Arab Spring uprising starting in 2010 were a series of protests and revolution armed at overthrowing authoritarian regimes. Nagsimula ito noong 2010, isang mahalagang kaganapan sa kasaysayan ng mga bansa sa gitnang silangan at hilagang Afrika. Ang mga ito ay naglalayong mapabagsak ang mga authoritarian na regime na naghari sa mga bansa tulad ng Tunisia, Egypt, Libya, Syria at Yemen. Isang pangunahing dahilan ng mga protesta ay ang malawakang discontent ng mga mamamayan dulot ng matinding kahirapan, mataas na antas ng kawalan ng trabaho at malalim na korupsyon sa gobyerno. So, ang Arab Spring ay nagbigay diin sa kahalagan ng mga isyu tulad ng karapatang pantao, kalayaan sa pagpapahayag ng mga papel ng mga bagong teknolohiya po sa pag-organisa ng mga protesta. Ang paggamit ng social media ay naging mahalaga sa pagpakalat ng impormasyon at mobilisasyon ng mga tao na nagbigay daan sa mas malawak na partisipasyon sa mga kaganapan. So ang Arab Spring ay hindi lamang serye ng mga protesta po kundi isang malawak na kilusan na nagbigay diin sa ng mga hinanakit ng mga tao laban sa mga hindi makatarungang sistema. Ang mga kaganapang ito ay nagbukas ng mga diskurso tungkol sa demokrasya, kalayaan at mga hinaharap ng mga bansang nasakop. The second is nationalist revival. This uprising triggered a revival of nationalist sentiments as people demanded self-determination, economic justice, and political reform. So dito, ang mga tao ay nagkakaisa upang ipahayag po ang kanilang mga hinanakit laban sa mga pamahalaang itinuturing nilang mapang-api. Ang nasyonalismo ay nagiging simbolo ng kolektibong pagkakaisa at pagkilala sa kanilang pambansang pagkakakilanlan na nagbibigay diin sa mga isyu ng katarungan at pagkapantay-pantay. So, ang nationalist revival ay nagpapakita ng kakayahan ng mga tao na ipaglaban po ang kanilang mga karapatan at makamit ang pagbabago sa kanilang lipunan. The last is mixed outcomes. The Arab Spring had mixed outcomes with some countries achieving democratic transition while others plunged into conflict and instability. Dito naman is nagpapahiwatig na hindi lahat ng bansa ay nakaranas ng positibong pagbabago. May mga kaso ng pag-akyat ng karahasan at hindi pagkakaunawaan. The next slide is ISIS and the sectarian divide. So the first one is rise of ISIS. The emergence of ISIS in 2014, a radical Islamist group exploited sectarian tension and regional instability to seize territory. So the second is sectarian violence. ISIS rise fueled sectarian violence and displacement, contributing to a humanitarian crisis and exacerbating existing social division. The last is long-term impact. The fight against ISIS leave a lasting impact on the region, defining sectarian division and undermining social cohesion. The next slide is challenge in the future of nationalism in the Middle East. Nationalism in the Middle East faces numerous challenges including political instability, economic disparities, and sectarian tensions. The future of nationalism in the region will depend on addressing these challenges and fostering dialogue and cooperation. The next slide is conflict disrupt the Middle East. The Middle East has been plagued by conflict for decades, impacting regional stability and global security. This presentation explores the key conflict, their roots, causes, and their devastating consequences. So, ang Gitnang Silangan po ay isang rehiyon na matagal na pong tinamaan ng mga alitan at digmaan na nagdudulot ng malubhang epekto sa katatagan ng rehiyon at sa seguridad ng buong mundo. Ang mga pangunahing salungatan dito is tulad ng hidwaan sa pagitan ng Israel at Palestine at ang digmaang sibil at sira ay may mga ugat na sanhi na nagmumula sa kasaysayan, relihiyon at politika. Ang mga alitang ito ay nagdudulot ng malawakang paglikas ng mga tao at nagiging dahilan po ng pag-usbong ng mga ekstremistang ideolohiya na nagdadala ng panganib hindi lamang sa rehiyon kundi pati na rin sa iba pang bahagi ng mundo. The next slide is introduction to the Middle East geopolitical landscape. So, sinasabi dito, ang Gitnang Silangan ay may malaking estrahikong kahalagahan po dahil sa mga malawak na reserba ng langis na nagbibigay dito ng mahalagang papel sa pandaigdigang ekonomiya. Ang lokasyon nito sa pagitan ng Asya, Europa at Afrika ay ginagawang isang mahalagang daanan para sa kalakalan at transportasyon. Ang mga komplikadong dinamika sa rehiyon ay kinabibilangan ng mga matagal ng ribalidad sa kasaysayan tulad ng pagitan ng mga Sunni at Shia na sekta na nagdudulot po ng hidwaan hindi lamang sa loob ng mga bansa kundi pati na rin sa mga international na relasyon. Ang mga hidwaan sa teritoryo tulad ng isyu ng Pilistino at ang mga pagkakaiba-iba sa mga hangganan na itinakda ng mga makasaysayang kasunduan tulad ng Sykes-Picot Agreement ay patuloy na nagiging ugat ng alitan. Dagdag pa po rito, ang mga pamana ng kolonyalismo at mga ribalidad ng Cold War ay nag-ambag sa kawalang katatagan ng rehiyon. Ang suporta ng mga banyagang kapangyarihan sa mga authoritarian na regime ay nagpalala sa mga hidwaan at nagpigil sa mga demokratikong kilusan. Ang mga interbensyon ng mga banyagang bansa tulad ng invasyon ng Iran noong 2003 ay nagdulot ng mas malawak na kahulugan sa pag-usbong ng mga extremist na grupo. So sa kasalukuyan, ang Gitnang Silangan ay naharap sa maraming hamon, kabilang ang hindi pantay-pantay na pag-unlad sa ekonomiya, mga krisis sa kapaligiran at ang patuloy na pagkikibaka para sa reformang pampolitika. Ang mga kaganapang tulad ng Arab Spring ay nagbigay diin sa mga hinanakit ng mga mamamayan laban sa mga repressive na pamahalaan, ngunit ang mga resulta ay nag-iba-iba na may ilang bansa na nakakaranas ng mga digmaan at iba pang bumalik sa mga authoritarian na pamamahala. The next slide is Arab-Israel conflict, a protracted dispute. The first one is the conflict stem from competing claims to the same land by Israelis and Palestinians. It dates back to the early 20th century with both groups struggling of self-determination. Ang pangunahing dahilan ng hidwaan sa pagitan ng Israel at Palestinian ay nagmumula sa magkasalungat na pag-angkin po sa parehong lupain. So sa simula ng ika-20 siglo, ang mga Israel at Palestinian ay parehong naglalaban para sa kanilang karapatan sa sariling pagpapasya at pagmamay-ari ng lupa. Ang hindi pagkakaintindihan at tensyon sa pagitan po ng dalawang grupo um, ay nag-ugat mula sa mga pagkakaiba sa kultura, relihiyon at kasaysayan na nagdulot po ng matinding sigalot sa rehiyon. The 1948 Arab-Israel War led to the creation of Israel and displacement of Palestinian. Numerous wars and conflicts followed, leaving both sides deeply divided. So, dito ang digmaang Arab-Israel noong 1948 ay nagdulot ng makasaysayang pagbabago sa rehiyon na nagresulta sa pagkatatag ng Estado ng Israel at ang malawakang paglisan ng mga Pilistino. Ang mga pangyayaring ito ay hindi lamang nagbibigay diin sa hidwaan sa lupa, kundi nag-uugat din sa mas malalim na mga salungatan sa pagkakakilanlang karapatan at seguridad. Matapos po ang 1948, maraming digmaan at sigalot ang naganap tulad ng digmaang Six Day noong 1967, ang mga digmaang Yom Kippur noong 1973. Ang mga digmaang ito ay nagpatuloy sa pag-igting ng tensyon sa rehiyon na nagdulot ng patuloy na pagka-occupy ng Israel sa West Bank of Gaza Strip. Ang sitwasyong ito ay nagbigay daan sa mga isyu po tulad ng paglikha ng mga settlement ng mga Israel sa mga teritoryong ito na naging pangunahing hadlang sa mga negosasyon para sa kapayapaan. So, the last is sa kabila ng pagsisikap na makamit ng isang two-state solution, ang mga pagsubok na ito ay naharap sa mga makabuluhang hamon. Ang kakulangan ng tiwala sa pagitan ng mga partidong kasangkot ay isang pangunahing hadlang. Ang mga nakaraang karanasan ng karahasan at paglabag sa karapatang pantao ay nagbigay diin sa takot at pagdududa ng bawat panig. Ang magkaibang mga kwento at pananaw sa kasaysayan ng bawat isa ay nagdudulot ng higit pang pagka-aktibo sa hidwaan, kung saan ang Palestino ay madalas na nakikita ang kanilang karanasan na pag-aalis at pagkabigo, samantalang ang mga Israel naman ay nakatuon sa kanilang mga pangangailangan sa seguridad at pagkakaroon ng estado. Ang hindi nalutas na isyu tulad ng katayuan ng Jerusalem, ang karapatan ng mga Pilistino na bumalik sa kanilang mga tahanan at ang kinabukasan ng mga settlement ay patuloy na nagiging mga hadlang sa mga negosasyon. The last slide is the rise of Islamic extremism and its destabilizing effect. The first one is ideological roots. Islamic extremism, a radical interpretation of Islam, emerged in the 1970s. It gained traction during the Soviet-Afghan War and spread through the Middle East. So, the number 2 is terrorism and violence. Extremism groups have employed violence and terrorism to achieve their goals. They have targeted governments, civilians, and foreign interests. This has destabilized countries and regions, creating fear and unrest. The last is the political instability. Islamic extremism has also contributed to political instability in the rise of authoritarian regimes. This has further fueled tension within societies and hampered peace efforts. So, dito sa ideological roots is sa paglipas ng panahon, ang mga grupong ekstremista ay nakakuha ng impluwensya sa gitnang silangan. Pinapalakas ang kanilang mga mensahe sa pamamagitan ng temang biktimasyon at pagtutulo sa mga banyagang kapangyarihan. Ang mga sosyo-politikal na salik tulad ng kawalang katarungan at pag-aapi ay nagbigay daan sa paglaganap ng mga radikal na ideolohiya sa relihiyon.
So, good day everyone. So, I'm the reporter of this topic, which is the Syrian Civil War, a humanitarian crisis. So, the Syrian Civil War erupted in 2011, sparked by a brutal crackdown on a peaceful protest against the government. The conflict quickly escalated. Multiple factions, including the Syrian government, rebel groups, and external powers, became involved. The war has devastated the country's infrastructure and economy. Millions of Syrians have been displaced internally and as refugees. The war has also become a breeding ground for extremist groups and foreign inventions. So, the Syrian Civil War, beginning in 2011, is a devastating conflict that has caused a profound humanitarian crisis. So, the war's origins lie in the government's brutal suppressions of peaceful protests, which is quickly escalated into a complex and multifaceted conflict involving numerous numerous factions, including the Syrian government, various rebel groups, and external powers. So the fighting has resulted in widespread destruction of infrastructure, a complete collapse of the economy, and a massive displacement of the population, creating millions of internally displaced persons and refugees. The conflict has also created a breeding ground for extremist groups and foreign interventions, further complicating the situation and prolonging the suffering of the Syrian people. So, the scale of human suffering makes the Syrian civil war a major humanitarian crisis demanding international attention and intervention. Okay, the Iraq War and its aftermath. Number one, invasions and occupations. Invasions and occupation. The initial phase, marked by the US led invasions and subsequent occupation of Iraq. This led to the toppling of Saddam Hussein's regime. Number 2, rise of insurgency. Rise of insurgency. Following the invasion, various insurgent groups emerged, resisting the occupying forces and the newly established Iraq government. So, this resistance took the form of guerrilla warfare and other violent acts. Number 3, sectarian violence. The power vacuum created after the invasion exacerbated existing sectarian tensions between Sunni and Shia Muslims, leading to significant inter-communal violence. Number 4, political instability. The post-invasion period was characterized by significant political instability, with challenges in forming a stable and effective government, along with issues of corruption and power sharing. Number 5, regional instability. The Iraq War's effects extended beyond Iraq's borders, destabilizing the region and contributing to the rise of extremist groups and increased regional tensions. So, the pyramid structure visually represents the cascading effects of the war, showing how each stage contributed to the subsequent ones. The Iranian nuclear dispute and regional tensions. Nuclear concerns. Iran's nuclear program has been a source of international concern for decades. Western powers suspect it may be seeking to develop nuclear weapons. So, when we say nuclear concerns, it is the international community, particularly Western powers, has expressed deep concern over Iran's nuclear program. There are suspicions that Iran might be developing nuclear weapons, which would pose a serious threat to
regional stability and international security. Negotiations and sanctions. Multiple rounds of negotiations and sanctions have been imposed to curb Iran's nuclear program. However, tensions remain high. So, to address these concerns, multiple rounds of negotiations have been held between Iran and world powers, including the China, France, Germany, Russia, the United Kingdom, and the United States. So these negotiations have aimed to reach an agreement that would restrict Iran's nuclear activities and ensure its peaceful nature. However, these talks have been fraught with challenges and progress has been slow. As a result, various international sanctions have been imposed to Iran to pressure it to comply with international demands. Regional tensions. The dispute has fueled tensions with neighboring countries, including Israel and Saudi Arabia, further destabilizing the region. So, the Iranian nuclear dispute has significantly contributed to regional tensions. The uncertainty surrounding Iran's nuclear ambitions has fueled existing rivalries and created new conflicts among neighboring countries. So, this has led to a volatile and unstable security environment in the Middle East, with countries like Israel and Saudi Arabia expressing deep concerns about Iran's potential nuclear capabilities. The dispute has also contributed to proxy conflicts and military build-ups in the region and further escalating tensions. So, the Iranian nuclear dispute is a complex and long-standing issue that has significantly impacted regional tensions. The role of external powers in the Middle East conflicts. Number 1, US. The United States has played a significant role in the Middle East for decades through military inventions, diplomatic efforts, and economic support. Number 2, Russia. Russia has strengthened its presence in the Middle East in recent years, supporting the Syrian government and expanding its influence. Number 3, Iran. Iran has sought to exert regional dominance through its support for proxies and its influence on various political and religious groups. Number 4, Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia has actively pursued its regional interests, including through its rivalry with Iran and its involvement in conflicts. Economic and social impacts of ongoing conflict. Number 1, economic destruction. Conflicts cause widespread damage to infrastructure, which is roads, buildings, utilities, disrupts economic activity, trade, production, employment, and lead to significant financial losses. This can include the destruction of property, the disruption of supply chains, and the loss of human capital. 2. Displacement and refugees. Conflicts force people to flee their homes, creating large numbers of internally displaced persons, which is IDPs and refugees. This leads to humanitarian crisis, strains on resources in host communities, and long-term instability. Number 3, humanitarian crisis. Conflicts often result in humanitarian crisis, characterized by widespread suffering, shortage of food, water, and medical care, and a general breakdown of essential services. So, this can include famine, disease outbreaks, and a lack of access to basic necessities. Number 4, social fragmentation. Conflicts can exacerbate existing social divisions and create new ones, leading to social fragmentation and instability. This can include the breakdown of community structures, increased violence, and the erosion of social cohesion. The overall impact is a breakdown of social order and increased tensions within a society. Prospects for peace and stability in the region. Achieving lasting peace and stability in the Middle East will require a multifaceted approach. It requires addressing root causes, promoting dialogue, fostering economic development, and supporting human rights. So, when we say addressing root causes, it is identifying and resolving the underlying issues that fuel conflict, such as political grievances, economic inequality, and social injustice. Second is promoting dialogue. So, it is encouraging communication and negotiation between conflicting parties to find peaceful solutions. Fostering economic development. It is creating economic opportunities and improving living standards to reduce poverty and inequality, which are often root causes of conflicts. Supporting human rights. It is protecting and promoting human rights for all citizens, regardless of their backgrounds or beliefs, to ensure a just and equitable society. So, that's all po for my part. Thank you for listening.